This man took the life of an elderly lady for just £25. Oh, hi there, stranger. This is part 65 of the Britain's Whole Lifers list, so viewer discretion is advised. So today I'm going to be telling you about George Norman Johnson, and much like part 64, there wasn't a whole lot of information on this guy, so I'm going to jump straight into telling you about his crimes. George Johnson was born around 1964, and I've got nothing on his childhood, but by the time he was around 22 in 1986, he had a serious substance abuse problem. And it was then in 1986 that he committed his first murder in Wolverhampton, where he was living at the time. He and an accomplice had met their victim at a pub and then been invited back to his flat. A sustained and vicious attack followed, lasting an hour. Johnson and his accomplice made the man strip naked and then attacked him with knives and scissors, causing at least 35 wounds before taking the victim's life in his own home and making off with just £8. The brutality of the attack was shocking enough, but the fact that they did all of that for £8? He admitted to the murder in October 1986 and was sentenced to serve a minimum of 17 years. He was released in March 2006 under the condition that he would take regular booze and substance tests. He was recalled in January 2007 after failing one of those tests and would serve a further 11 months or so before being released in December 2007. By 2010, he admitted to taking a brown substance daily and also that he owed money to local substance suppliers. He had originally been from Rhyl in Wales, and that is where he went back to by 2011. By then, he was in a relationship and his partner worked for a well-known door-to-door cosmetics company. And one of her customers was an 89-year-old lady by the name of Florence May Habesh. Florence was a widow. She stayed active by going to church, but she lived alone and was a private lady. And being elderly, there were tasks around her house that she couldn't be getting on with herself anymore, and therefore she needed occasional help. And so, by way of connection through his partner, Johnson ended up being a sort of handyman for Florence, doing odd jobs for her around her home. And throughout the course of these jobs that he did for her, Florence built up trust in Johnson. And so when he went to visit her on the 6th of February 2011, she let him in and put the kettle on. She was not to know, of course, that he had been using substances that day and that he was not in his right mind. And I say that not to take any responsibility away from him, just because I'm not allowed to use other words. He wasn't in his right mind because he voluntarily took very strong substances that he knew would alter his way of thinking. So just to be clear, I'm not trying to excuse him, I just don't want to use any trigger words. So Florence had let Johnson in and was preparing to make him a cup of tea. And as this lovely, trusting, defenceless little old lady, 89 years old, was busying herself making him tea, this scum of human scum picked up a large, heavy projector case and struck Florence a catastrophic blow to the head with it. He stole £25 and some jewellery from Florence, and when he noticed that she was still moving and staring at him, he hit her again. Even then, when he had got what he came for, he had the goods, he was making off with her pennies, and he still had to go back and hit her again, ensuring that she would not survive this attack. He then took the money that he had stolen to his own nephew and asked him to buy substances with it, and then used them, and then went to his brother and confessed what he had done. Johnson's own brother would call the police on him. Sure, what a hard thing to do, but fair play to him because his brother was a monster. Johnson fled, but he would eventually be picked up by police, something like a couple of days later, and Florence's body would be found 2 days later. Johnson pled guilty to the vicious murder of 89-year-old Florence Habesh and was sentenced to a whole life order. In both cases, 25 years apart, he had befriended unsuspecting people, gained their trust, and then committed unspeakable violence on them. And all for very little gains. £8 in one case and 25 in the other. The lack of value he places into human life is shocking to me, and this is part 65. I didn't think I could be shocked anymore, but this is exactly the kind of person that should be on this list. There is no value that can be placed on human life anyway, but to kill a person, and in this case multiple people, for basically less than the price of a takeaway, he should never have been allowed back out, in my opinion, of course. As always, rest in peace to the victims of this case. The 1986 hotel worker, whose full name I am so sorry, but I don't know. I saw an article where he was referred to as Mr. Grosvenor, so rest in peace to Mr. Grosvenor, and of course to 89-year-old Florence May Habesh. What an awful case. I just, £8 and 25 quid. I cannot believe I'm still being shocked at part 65. As always, strangers, let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've stayed with me up until now, then thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next one.